Hello again, Struck Co-op. Today I'm bringing you another endgame starting build guide for Gemma. Yesterday I brought you one for every hero, and today I'm bringing another one for every hero. Those videos could be used for players that have just started their journey into the Nether Realm doing endgame, and they don't have that much resources to buy stuff and that much good items and that much energy, but I've got you covered. There are some ideas that you can keep in mind for the early end game, some cheaper items on the trade house and some more expensive higher level requirement items that might make the build shine even more later on. So I hope you enjoyed, buckle up and let's go. We will start with the skills. The main skill is Chromatic Shot, and Chromatic Shot with a Guof, legendary Guof that requires level 72 to equip, called the Sage's Insight, is amazing. This spell does cold, chaos, fire, lightning and physical damage at the same time. And that one item will reduce the enemy's elemental resistance after hitting it with cold, with fire and with lightning by 6%, which can stack to 18% elemental, up to 18% depending on your row, what row you get. And that's pretty solid, but that item is level 72 required to use, and it's expensive on the auction house, so more about it in the gear segment. I've added cold damage here. And I've added fire damage, because Gemma is all about cold and fire the way I built her. And there's multiple projectiles, and there's elemental fusion. Elemental fusion makes it so we can't ignite, freeze or shock, but it gives us extra elemental damage. Extra elemental damage means extra cold, and the way we're building Gemma right now, every addition to cold gets added to fire, every addition to fire gets added to cold, meaning when we get elemental damage 10%, it's actually elemental damage 20, because the 10% of fire gets added as extra 10% to cold and vice versa. That's why any instances of elemental damage are nice. And there are some other usefulness with Chromatic Shot. With Chromatic Shot you don't need a secondary spell to cast that is cold or fire, while the other one is fire or cold. In the previous setup I was using split firebolt, and then I was using that frozen shield every few seconds, so I can trigger the effect of certain items. Like if you look at this item requires you to use cold or fire recently. The game doesn't specify what recently means, but I had to use split firebolt alongside that energy shield. Well, Chromatic Shot is cold and fire at the same time, and it works very nicely with those boots. More about them in the gear segment. Next we have Blink with quick mobility, we have cooldown reduction with compound potion, we have mana potion, which can be also boosted with cooldown reduction. Again, right now this is at 95 out of 100 energy. We can extend the duration of mana boil if we had enough here, if we had enough energy to spare. I'm not sure, actually this one doesn't have extend duration. We can put something else here, but ignore that for the time being. I can just remove this, and then we have points here. We can maybe increase the cooldown there. In the meantime, there are all sorts of other things we can do with this setup. Here we've got Ice Imbue, and if you can afford it, Fire Imbue would be nice, but again it will seal a lot of mana. And you might want to do Ice Imbue alongside Charged Flames in the same chain, in this way, with just let me show you. But you would need more points. You would need more points, and it would be hard to get those extra points. But you could put them together in the same chain, and then add an extra other point when you have enough energy, when you have another 10 energy, and put the thing that reduces the sealed mana on the skills. I will show you what I mean. And then again you might want to add Flame Imbue as well, because it will work nicely. So you see, we put those together, and now we can activate them together. And then there is this thing, I forgot its name, but Restrain, I think it was called. Restrain. I think restrain we can only see as a support, but I'll show you what restrain looks like. And keep in mind, restrain, you want to put it on your chain where you're sealing the most mana, where the most mana is consumed. This is restrain, so you want to put it in that same chain. Support skills with sealed mana, such as imbues, such as things like Charged Flame, and you want probably to have the code equivalent of Charged Flames as well. And again, as I mentioned, Flame Imbue as well. You want those as much as possible, increasing your cold and fire damage. Over here, magical source. Over here, what you could put is rejuvenation. It's gonna work okay. You can activate it as a fewer. This is fine. So this is kind of slight rework there. And again, here you could put cooldown reduction, and then you are set. See, I just on the fly kind of optimized this a little, and that's it for the skills. And now we're moving on to the talent trees. I am actually using the same talent trees as before, as my previous build. In terms of that, keep in mind, if you want, you can do something drastic and remove all the points from Goddess of Knowledge, or remove 10 points from Goddess of Knowledge and put them into Druid, so you can get this critical strikes, ignore elemental resistance. But I could get that as soon as I level up. But if you want to get all those other things like extra elemental damage added as scales and stuff like that, extra damage, attack speed when wielding staff, attack crit strike when wielding a staff, which again, we're not doing attack speed or spelling, but this is spell critical strike when wielding a staff, spell crit strike rating while wielding a staff, elemental skill crit strike rating and penetration and stuff like that. This one you can get the points early in the game by removing the points from Goddess of Knowledge, but this would lose you this extra energy shield and this extra energy shield that I decided to use. And I'm using those at the beginning because for extra survivability it's nice to have those energy shield boosts. Here you could replace this with Beacon, or you could replace it with Swallowing Current. It's not bad as a choice, either of those. And here you can get Primal Force, which is amazing. Pulsing Guard is also nice, but we do have Surge already. If I'm not mistaken, we had Surge in the chain. Let me double check and confirm this. I did remove Surge from this chain. Okay, yeah, I did remove Surge from this chain. So yeah, that's why it just doesn't... it doesn't seem like a bad idea if you really need Surge to put Pulsing Guard, if you don't have other ways to get it. Over here we have Metamorphose, which is nice. Extra mana and damage is taken from mana before life, which is amazing, and that's why extra mana stacking is good. If you want, you can go High Energy Shield, but I'm not a big fan of that specific talent there. When I can take the one with mana. Then Mutation Shield I tried, but it's too early. Mutation Shield is something very good for later on when you have a lot of energy shield stacked. Otherwise, in early mid game, beginning of end game, it's just not that great. Whereas Torrents, again, I don't have many sources of search right now, just from the passive tree, but Torrents is not bad. Let me quickly show you what we've got in the tree. This one spell damage, this one elemental damage. Elemental damage prioritized over spell damage. If you have to pick between this or that, this one is higher priority because it doubles. Some energy shield and mana because we needed those. And that's pretty much what I took with this skill tree. Also this one as well. I mean, I could remove this and put it there, maybe, but I decided to keep that defensive note there. In Magister, the damage, the mana and spell damage, the crit rating, the mana and life, and regenerations, the shield, the skill cost reduction, the crit strike rating if at least 400 mana cost recently, maximum mana, sealed mana, skill cost, and sealed mana, and skill cost per 100 mana cost as well. And then eventually you would probably want to get this. This would be very good. Spells cost 4% of current mana, but 50 spell damage and extra mana regeneration here. There are some good things to get. You don't want the channeled bonuses obviously, but the search stuff you could want. And there are a ton of good other things like the intelligence bonuses, like the shield regains, which is pretty much energy shield leech as you do damage and stuff like that. Under Goddess of Knowledge you get the offensive stuff mostly. See, there's the crit ratings, the damages, the area, and this AoE damage and chance to do double spells. Here the spell damage casting speed and spell skill level, very nice. I really like that one. For an investment of 20 points in this tree we get a lot out of it. This extra maximum energy shield, and eventually you can get mana again and add mana to energy shield, and I've put 2 points here for extra energy shield again. We want to be able to take a few hits with this setup. When it comes to hero trait, at level 32 I prefer expansion. If you like abnormal energy, obviously use it. And level 48 is what makes us build around this. I'm building around Frostfire strength. When doing damage, when dealing damage, increases and reductions to fire damage are also applied to cold and vice versa. Which means again 10% elemental damage means you get 10% fire and 10% cold, but the 10% from fire gets added to cold and the other way around. And sorry, I muted my microphone while recording so I can sneeze. That's why the pause. So at 66, it's up to you what you would get. Rampage is nice. Rampage, Frostfire, Rampage is nice. Some people might want the limit. I prefer the spread. And then over here, Extreme Fusion is also nice. And I think Seeping in is also nice, and Seeping in together with spread could work nicely. Seeping in together with fusion body could work nicely. How you combine, whether you go this and this, or this and this, or just up and down, up to you. There are all sorts of ways why each of those two can combine with each of those two. I personally would probably go with spread, and then after that most likely go with Seeping in until I have enough mana to afford Extreme Fusion, and then Extreme Fusion could go very nicely with those extra fusion energy limits, and then you can have 3 from here and 2 from there. And here we are at the Pact points, and as I always say, I understand not everyone would have access to the same Pact spirits, especially when the game has the beta has just started this week. Again, keep in mind, I know it's pay to win, and I know that you can pay money to buy gacha currency to roll for those, but at least during the beta they're giving us currency so we can buy the crystals, so we can roll for pets every day. And test the drop rates. I've only gotten one legendary, but I don't use it for one reason. First of all, it's for projectiles and attacks, not for spells. Second, it's not upgraded. Here I decided to prioritize upgraded things. When you upgrade things, they give you extra pact nodes, which means extra pact points you can spend in the skill tree. And this one is actually one I like, because this gives me chance for spell double damage casting speed, and extra chance for spells to deal double damage again from that other node. And it gives me 2 pact points. And I've gotten this one with 2 pact points, something that I don't need the bonuses of this, other than the elemental resistances. The others I don't feel like using. But I get those 2 extra pact points, so early in the game I can unlock more of those passive skills on the tree. And this one again, I'm using it for the pact nodes. And yeah, those pact points, as you can see here, I've taken the movement speed, but if I decide to, I can get casting speed, but I think movement speed is more convenient for me. Over here I've taken the XP. Over here I've taken the physical damage taken, because again those are not upgraded, I can't switch them. And here I've taken this, and again I get a chance to deal double damage with spells. There's extra chance to deal double damage with spells, and I can get more later when I level up there as well. Here I've taken the extra damage, and it also gives me movement speed thanks to this one. And then I've taken those damages, and I've pretty much taken the basic ones. See, those are the ones that you get by default. I didn't use any of the Pact Spirit here. I just used it for the points. And on the bottom I haven't taken anything, but later on I would just keep it to drop stuff, because this one is not spell, it's attack, and it won't do much for me. And yeah, I mean, prioritize spell damage. If you can, prioritize things like this, like the Wuri Maple. Things that give you energy shield are not bad. If you want XP earned, it's not bad as well. Mana regeneration is not bad, especially considering we're using mana as a secondary energy shield before taking damage to HP. Elemental damage is super good. Things like this mana regen, spell damage, crit strike rating are amazing if you can get them. Area skills, chance to do double damage is not bad, but this one is attack damage, so you would want the spell damage version. Another things that are good are, as I mentioned, where did the elemental go? There's see, mana again, spell damage again, elemental damage, this one. I don't have stronger version of it, but this one is good. This one is probably what you really want. Elemental damage, piercing elemental resist, and cast speed, and then the upgraded stronger version would probably have that. I wish they would let you preview the ones that you haven't unlocked, but in general it would look like this most likely, and we'll see what it will do. Now about the gear, I would say there are two items that you might want to get from the auction house early. Ice and fire. This one is good. It gives you fat fire damage, which also applies to the cold. It gives you fat cold damage, which also applies to the fire. It gives you fire and cold resistance, it gives you attack and cast speed, and it gives you cold damage if fire skills have been used recently, and fire damage if cold skills have been used recently. And Chromatic Shot counts as fire and cold, which means you're constantly getting that 40 cold, which gets converted to 40 fire, and the 40 fire, which gets converted to 40 cold. So all of them get 80% all the time, as long as you use it. This one is nice because it gives you restored mana on defeat. It gives you a lot of mana, cold resistance, spell crit ratings. It increases the skill cost, unfortunately, but that's fine. And it gives you a lot of energy shield. And if you get something with a higher item level, you can go ahead and reroll it for more energy, so it can speed boost your energy as well for this. Try to get it if you can with a higher item level. You need level 35 to wear it, but the higher item level would come with energy and it can boost your setup. I would say get yourself a staff with ideally 3 flat damages, and if you can get 2 of those being fire and cold, even better. And if you get some percent cold, percent fire, not so bad, percent elemental, not so bad. Piercing elemental resistances we won't need as soon as you get that thing where crits always pierce. Then it would be better to just get a staff base that gives you elemental damage. In terms of trade house, what you can get from the trade house, I have something here in my collection that I wanna show you. This one drops from the very final boss of the end game, and it's very expensive on the auction house. But it gives you added gear physical damage, and that physical damage is converted to fire damage on recent block, and physical damage is also converted to cold damage if you haven't blocked recently. And this again, that increase to fire or cold will increase the other element as well, and it's the perfect item for late game. It requires level 55 and it will take a while to farm this item. It will be good. Another thing I wanted to show you was the sages inside. This one is a synergy with the skill that we are using with the chromatic spell. And yeah, it reduces the elemental resistances by 6% when you're using fire, cold and lightning, and since it counts as all 3 at the same time, that means once you hit, you reduce their elemental resist by 18%. which is pretty solid, but we will be penetrating the resistances with that passive trait, so it's not that needed, but the elemental damage increase and elemental spell skill level, and then the extra gear energy this gives makes it a very good choice. Those are just some ideas of items to look for. Another thing to keep in mind, prioritize your resistances. Right now my hero has terrible lightning resistances and awful chaos resistance. I need to patch those up, and I will eventually when I start focusing on the leveling up of the heroes tonight. If you wanna get notified when I upload more content like this one, or guides or news and other builds for this game or others like it, Wooter and not so Wooter games, you can subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button to not miss out the notifications. Keep in mind there's also memberships that grant my members access to emotes and badges made by me, as well as members can ask me on Discord for some tutorials of some of the Adobe software. Thanks for watching all the way until the end. Keep it cool, Struck Club. Until next time, and goodbye.